Okay, it's here. Okay, so usually I start by getting to know each other more and what we want from the session and the sessions. However, some of us are going to have to leave and then come back, maybe. So I'm going to start, and then, like in half an hour or something, I'm going to get us to know a little bit more on the topic, and especially what we want to get out of the topic, and then continue so that we know things a little bit better. Um, so I'll have sharing starting. Okay. Can you see anything? Great. So in our work, we want to work a little bit on hieroglyphics, and my strongest aim is to familiarize ourselves a little bit with them better at whatever level, to feel home with them and make them feel home with us. And to do this, we need to understand what hieroglyphics are and to go a little bit inside of them. Hieroglyphics have been around, alive, for God knows, maybe 4,000 years. So they changed, and there are layers over layers about them. They've been used as a very religious thing, as a very divine thing, and then they've been used as a more political thing, um, and more mundane, daily use. Hieroglyphics, their name in Greek means the the divine shapes. And it's really interesting, the relationship of Greeks, ancient Greeks, with ancient Egypt and ancient Egyptian philosophy and culture. Because on one hand, they looked at Egypt as like heaven on earth, as like the most advanced humans ever lived. And from another way, maybe later on, they started looking at Egypt a little bit differently. And perhaps this happened not only as Egypt as a whole, but a difference between Egyptian academia, which we call now the temples, versus the regular Egyptian guy of the street. So the name hieroglyphics means um, the divine shapes, or the yes, the divine shapes or the divine writings. However, the ancient Egyptian word for it was Medoneter, and Medoneter meant the words of the Neteru, the words of the Neter. And Neter, maybe I discussed this with some of you before. Neter does not mean God, and um, I learned from our dear Yasmin, who's attending today, how to say a little bit that the netter is maybe an aspect of God. So it's not something that's away from God. It's something inside God or part of God. However, it's not. Um, it's very. It's one if you look to if you throw a dice and you see, like, you get a three, for example, you the die gave you a three, so in one face it's three, but it's the whole dice, it's the whole die, it's in the same, the same time, it's a die and it's a face. Okay, so this is one way to look at the Netherroom. I translated it here, words from beyond. It's an idea that comes from something that is metaphysical, that is beyond our everyday life. Okay, so to start, I want you, all of us, to share about this this picture that we're seeing, and this is the beginning of it, because you see, Egyptians did not say they invented hieroglyphics. They said that they were taught hieroglyphics. Who taught you the hieroglyphics? Well, the Neteru. So it's God, the aspects of God who taught us this, specifically Chahuti or Thot. Again, a Neter is an aspect of God, and it's the real thing, the very real thing of life. So it's nature. Okay, so the natural way of being is being with the natural, okay, and looking at things as such. Okay, just a second. Okay, so what can we see in this picture? No, it's a question for you. It's an interactive exercise, and I'll be working a little bit on us getting a feel of how the ancient Egyptian looked at things. And this is very important because after a while, maybe a week, a month, a year, God knows how long, we're going to be looking at things differently. We're going to be looking at life differently. And we're going to be looking at hieroglyphics very differently than before. Sameh, you're muted.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
I think it's like reading the feet on the ground. So we see the foot. So we translate it to a word
Okay.
using the foot. So for example, there are letters that we see them in nature, and we take them the way it is in my hieroglyphics.
Okay, thank you. Who else would like to comment on? Yes, please, Kara.
But it's a story in a picture, but parts of it are open-ended and parts of it are written. So it's both written and then open. So it's a story that extends basically, but the writings are the footsteps, but you don't know what happened in the story, but you know that there was a passage, and maybe you can get clues from the rest of the picture where it leads, but it's a story. It's what it is.
Thank you. So would you like to say something more about the story in like you said, footsteps, and there's a story. Would you like to say something about it? The story that you are seeing, by the way, it's not the story that happened. It's the story that you are seeing.
Yeah, it's that's what it is. It's very there are aspects that are very personally interpretive, and then there are aspects that are universal in this picture. So it describes part of what happened. We can tell that it's a person that went, and it looks like a leisurely, so you can see the manner of it. So for me, it looks like a slow walk, and depending on what's in the background, it could be so it sets, basically for me, it sets this looks more like a serene walk towards, or maybe a reflective. So we could use the footsteps always, but here it gives a specific meaning, which for me it seems like it would have been not a rushed or not a very chaotic scene, or and it's very reflective, of course, because of the setting, the colors. But that's an aspect that's added after. So, but it's a very complex setting, but with the main element being the writing, which is the
Yes.
footstep. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So there was someone walking, most probably not walking very quickly, and it's a leisurely walk. Thank you very much. Yasmin, please.
For me, I feel it's like a sign to follow me. And I leave you a sign, you have to just to follow, to come. The light at the end, it's to when I will arrive, it's like I will understand, or I will find what I'm looking for. And the sign, or this when the symbol is very is very clear. It is not slight. It's clear. It's like someone make it to leave it for me or for someone to follow him.
Thank you. It's something that is a very different level from what Karen was describing. Karen was describing a direct reading. There was someone walking, okay? And when I pressed a little bit, there was the emotional part of the physical act. With Yasmin, it's something very different. It's more of something that is less physical, less tangible. It is a sign that says, follow me. And the background is a very clear part of the whole picture rather than the footprint itself. Thank you very much. Venus, please.
Just صراحة يعني everything said so far has been very illuminating. For me, the picture says, I was here and now I'm gone.
Yes.
But I left you something, like breadcrumbs to follow, like footsteps in the sand. To follow, to pursue. It's like you can see the impact. And it makes you curious. You want to know what kind of impact are we talking about here, or what is it that creates this impact?
Yes.
The power.
Thank you very much. So here you're actually seeing the part. You're focusing. Everybody saw that there was the unseen. However, here you're focusing on the fact that it cannot be seen right now. Okay, it was there, but it's not there anymore. You cannot see it, but you know it from the impact. Yes, thank you, Karen. You wanted to say something?
Yes, I find it very very interesting and fascinating. This is why this is very open to interpretation, because it's very interesting how because the nature interacts with our thinking, with our human experiences. There's a lot of experience that comes into this as well, like that we put an interpretation to, because in both cases there was an interpretation that they were left on purpose, which is one angle. Of course, if there was a water, for example, the person might have, sometimes we interact with nature and we have no say in but then we can bring in our experiences, our interpretations, and this is why it's very rich and deep, because we can add any meaning to it beyond the physical, and it starts incorporating even wish thinking, if you want.
Yes.
It's so it carries our thoughts and wishes and anything. So it becomes like a canvas.
Yes, thank you. And thank you very much, because you said it can carry anything. It can carry almost anything. However, there are things you know that they cannot be carried. However, yet you know as well that it can be like a reflection of what you want to see. So we need to know all of these levels, and I'll check with you something about can it really carry anything? And I'm going to look at this one. Does this one say anything that the previous one does not say? Yes, please, Karen.
I meant it in specifically in this context that it was being discussed. For example, if we walk on sand or anywhere, even this, let's say we have wet feet, anything in this way, because even if I didn't want to leave my footsteps, it seemed like the person wanted us to see something. But even if the person didn't want us to see it, they have no choice. It's the interaction with the nature, and so the footsteps would have been there. This was a very open interpretation which was taken, but it was anything because in reality, it's a projected, and this is where it becomes that big canvas where you can really project anything in this way, which defies nature in some ways, because we're talking about natural phenomenon as well. So in this way, so this can carry anything in terms of, I can say the person who wanted to leave the footstep and wanted me to see they were there, but in reality, if their footstep was wet, maybe they wanted to hide, but they had no choice and they ran further so that they disappear. So, you know, anything like this, but anything completely, no, because maybe not, but yes, you can, because you can pretend that it was maybe a vessel and then had holes and water dripped. You can, but in reality, this is going further. So within limits, everything, but as at the same time open really to anything if you really want to push it. But it has guidelines as well, and that's why maybe each symbol would have had something specifically meaningful to it, because then it would lose too much meaning. And so
Yes.
anything within a frame.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for explaining this. And this is a little bit of what I meant when I said almost anything. And thank you for clarifying it more. Does anyone of us have anything that this picture tells them that this one does not? Because we can say this is a picture of footsteps, and we can say that this is a picture of footsteps. But does this one carry anything else than the previous one?
For me, it feels like something about permanence.
Okay.
So the sand prints feel like they could disappear soon.
Yes.
Whereas the watermark, the wet one, could technically also disappear soon. But there's something a little bit more pronounced there.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yasmin, you were going, Karen, you were going to say something?
To me, the language is different here. The footstep is done in a different way. The other one is more leisurely, more sideways, and so the dynamic, the feel here is different.
Yes.
If there's any emotional language or any other language that would come with the physical, there would be a difference for me here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And as Venus was saying, technically, maybe someone is going to see this as something that's going to go dry and disappear in a couple of minutes. However, it resonated more, it gave more this feeling of permanence to you. What about this picture? Something different? For me, for example, this one says that the person was wet. Maybe they were playing with a hose in the garden and coming here. But in this one, even though it was on the beach, I cannot really see that the person was wet. And in both cases, I do not see the person, but I can see the beyond the picture. What about this one? What's different from the previous ones?
This one looks more like a journey.
Looks more like a journey.
There's more than one person.
There's more than one person. So
Thing.
maybe it carries like, I'm going to walk longer and I need companions. Thank you. And Yasmin? We cannot hear you, even though you're. No, I can't. I still cannot hear you.
Like this, better?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to say the same thing, that it's like more than one person, at least two person together, if there are not two line of persons, maybe. And it's deeper, the trace is deeper, and it's a long journey, and they are going somewhere, and the trace will not disappear easily. Here, the trace will stay more time, and it's a long way. So even if one disappear, the other will be here. So it's like it's continuous.
Yes.
Mm.
Very nice. Thank you. And now we go to some more advanced reading, like B1 instead of A1 level of reading. There still is a story, and it has more elements here. What can you see here? What's the story?
I can actually see a winged horse.
You can see a winged horse. Beautiful. Okay, would you like to say something more, or that's it?
Yeah, like you said, the elements, there's lots of elements. There's water, there's earth, there's frozen water, there's something about a lot of things coming together, like maybe different aspects of different conversations going on all at once.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sameh.
I think there's it's a nice way to see Venus winged horse.
It's
Uh,
it's a beautiful vision.
Really
Yes.
nice. Thank you. There is a story, and you don't know where the beginning and where is the end.
Okay.
So you walk, and then you find someone who enters, and then you find someone who leaves, and so I don't see what do you say like a clarified خط بيسموه ايه؟ Okay, you understand what I mean. So it's not direct. It's not
A
a direct
straightforward story.
Yes.
It's not as okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Karen, yes, please.
Just have to first say that these snow pictures bring too much of a reality.
Yes.
extreme.
I'm very glad that we caught you like in September, like even if the last days, but not like in December or something. It would have been hurtful.
Yes, but it's a good way to come back to reality of what's coming soon. But I just wanted to say that in both pictures, there's a different dimension for me. In the one, the snow one before it, even though the sand one was projecting, there's more projection for me of the infinite, of the unknown, in these two pictures, specifically in this one with the parallel steps, and a little bit in this one. So it really, even though the dimension looks similar to the sand one, it for me it feels the other one, especially the parallel one, very infinite dimension, more like infinite and reflective aspect to it, even though it's very similar to the sand in terms of the background. But also in both pictures, but especially in this one, there's a collective interaction, there's intersections very much in this one. And I definitely the horse or a multi-level winged, three winged elements as well. But there's a communal intersection of many aspects here, of many different maybe
Yes.
humans, animals. The one before seems to me almost like animals, but it's too.
Yes.
It's very rhythmic, so there's a very rhythmic journey aspect to it. But it could be animals, it could be humans, it could be animals. Would probably not do it unless they are jumping, but
Or
they
maybe
have,
big animals.
or big animals walking in parallel. But there's this collective journey, and in the other one, a lot of intersection. So you're getting into more of an environment feel in
Yes.
both. So, but the dimension is specifically very striking to me.
Yes, yes. And the stories are getting a little bit more, they have more elements in them, and they let you wander a little bit more. Yes, thank you.
And the winged, either horse or the three-winged, it's nice how it's placed, because it takes the central part and it lifts the picture. It has a very spiritual meaning. It doesn't matter that it was really done, and it's very chaotic, in fact, in the back, and it's but it takes precedence, the out of worldly feel to it, despite that
Yes,
it's very chaotic.
yes. Thank you. And Yasmin?
It's very complicated. At least 2 or 3 layers. The first layer of this winged horse or animal with wings or whatever, and then another layer, the case of a being, an entity. We are not sure if it's human or animal or something else, and then even a third layer of the interaction between all of this. And for me, it's like beings or entities playing together, there is a movement, and in this movement, it can be playful, happy, or even a battle. I don't know which layer is, and what I want to see. Maybe all of us want to see it happy, playful, but maybe it's not at all. Maybe it's just a battle, but we cannot really see it. We need to, I don't know the word in English, in French is déchiffrer, to read it, or to not read, is it's
Decode.
simple. Decode, exactly. So with the small plants here, but the plants, they are not, they are whole, they don't have harm, so it is not a battle. So maybe it's really something good and beautiful. It's complicated. It's complicated, and it need to be seen from another angle, maybe. It's multi-layer. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I liked, I'd like to reiterate the part that Karen was saying a little bit earlier about even if I don't want to leave a trace, I'm going to be leaving a trace. So there is this aspect of this journey, and the animals going, or even if they were human, they didn't, like, they want to go somewhere. They don't want to leave traces. Like, they didn't focus on this. It just happened. And this is what happens with most of these. No one wanted to leave the traces. Okay. In this the story that most people uh, in the woods see in this one, it's prey and predator. It's, you had something like maybe wild hare or a small animal going, and then you had an eagle coming and taking this small animal uh, and continuing its flight with it. And the beginning, like the earlier, um, we have here, Okay. The highlights we have here in the beginning, like the wings just touched the snow, and here the biggest thing was to go in and really grab the small animal, and then you want to continue your flight. So you'll find here the wings leave a stronger imprint than here, because this was the strong blow to lift both of them actually up. So yes, definitely, it's multi-layered. It's a long story, and some of us are going to see the struggle. Some of us are going to see maybe playing in the snow or the different aspects of it. So thank you very much. Okay, now we leave the feet and go to some cups and glasses, because there's something else in the previous pictures. We saw that there is an imprint of something, a proof of a story, a proof of something that happened, even if the thing that happened did not mean to leave it. It's not like signing a contract. I mean to sign the contract, but it's a little bit more subtle. Here we're going to look at another aspect of it. What's this a cup of on the left? It's a cup of what? Yes, of tea, Karen.
Yeah, typically we would want to say coffee or tea, but here we can say it's a cup of water and a glass of coffee.
Yes, exactly. It could be a cup of coffee and a glass of
But
water, but it could be a cup
again, our
of water.
experiences come in and they speak for us. So.
Yes, thank you. And Yasmin?
Hot drink,
This is
and
a hot drink.
this is a cold drink.
This is a cold drink. Could be like water, juice, milk, whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a hot and this is a cold drink. Okay. Are you familiar with this painting? Okay, so this painting had the very interesting and infamous title of Ceci n'est pas une pipe. Because if you tried to light it up, it wouldn't light up, because it's not a pipe. However, when you look at it and you say something, what is this? It's a pipe. So here we have this question: should we say about any picture, okay, this is not a pipe, this is a picture of a pipe, this is a picture of a child, this is a picture of some, or do we just say that this is a pipe? Okay, and we just saw that we had this cup of a hot drink and a cold drink, a coffee and water, and you were very correct, even though you actually don't have this cold beverage in the glass, and you don't have. So actually, this is a cup of nothing, and like just now, it's a cup of nothing. It's a cup of air, if you want to be very scientific about it. And it's a glass of nothing. However, you said very correctly that it is a cup of coffee and a glass of juice. So here we're exploring a little bit what we say and what we mean by what we're saying and how exact and accurate we are. Yes, you were accurate. However, you still have this aspect of this might not be a part. Yasmin, please.
Here I'm thinking about the cave of Plato. Everything
Yes.
is the image of even what we are seeing, even what we are seeing in our life. It's an image of the original. So yeah, I'm
Yes.
thinking of
Thank you. Plato, the dear Egyptian disciple. Um, if we don't know, Plato studied in Egypt 18 or 19 years, and a lot of his ideas echo some of the ideas we can see in Egyptian philosophy. So yes, as Yasmin was saying, it's like if is this an animal, for example, that's biting my cheek, or is it just fingers playing and that's it? Okay, so we need to capture this a little bit and understand that there is this aspect of representation of something that we should not be mixing with the thing itself. However, we should know from it that the thing itself exists and might have left this. There is another aspect as well I'd like to point out. We can, as Karen said, we can have water in this cup and we can have coffee in this glass. However, this cup was made for coffee and actually invites coffee. And this glass invites colder drinks. The glass does not really call onto, like, it does not shout and say, give me a cold drink. However, you know that if you put something that is hotter than God knows how hot, it can crack. So by eliminating the hot, it is actually inviting the cold. In the other one, it's a little bit smaller, and usually we drink a larger quantity of a cold beverage. So it is pushing away a little bit the colder drink. So even though it was empty, because it was not a pipe, it was just a container, an empty one, it still was a cup of coffee and a glass of juice, as you correctly pointed out. Yes, Karen, please.
Yes, you can have iced coffee in a glass, but it doesn't matter because it's still that's exactly the discussion, is that there are some of it is inherent meaning,
Yes.
which is clear, just like in the first picture with the footsteps. There are elements that are very little like leeway to debate with, and then there are elements of now bigger interpretation, and in all the pictures, in some more than others, and it still fits within that frame, is that there's more likelihood, but that's where that openness still holds a little bit, but we're inclined. That's why messages, there's messages will be going along a certain way, and then if you want to take them further, you always can, but the messages will still be within a frame. Usually that's why the certain symbols represent certain things, because they're closer to
Definitely.
it. But we project a lot of our experiences, and I think that's an important part, is that whatever it is, it's our experience that comes in very strongly in most of it. Whatever
Yes.
it is, even if it's a very clear symbol, it's our experience still of it, which is the central part, and then the extensions are extensions, but the experience is always important in it. So, which here, of course, our experiences are much more specific, even though we can have a iced coffee in a glass, but we don't have it as often, so it will of course paint our
Yes.
interpretation right away.
Definitely. Thank you very much. And here, this is the question of course, we're not discussing the footprints and the glass and the cup. We're discussing how nature writes and how we are reading, because the Medonetter is the writing of nature. Whether nature wanted, whether the netter wanted to write or not, they wrote. And the ancient Egyptians started reading. And it is a little bit like, or very much like, a fingerprint. And I'm going to say this is not only a fingerprint, this is a fingerprint of Ahmed, of Karen, of Sama, of Yasmin. This is a fingerprint. This was not only a fingerprint, this was this person. This person was in the room. This person is the one who did such and such. So the reading of this fingerprint that looks very similar to other fingerprints actually says a lot. It says a story. Okay, so this is the idea, and I'm going back to this idea of invitation, because this is an interesting aspect about ancient languages, especially ancient Egyptian language. When I look at something like this, I know it's something about the plumbing, and the person who did the plumbing is a plumber. However, it's not only the fingerprint of the plumber, it's also the invitation of the plumber, because if something goes wrong or someone wants to play with this, it's going to be either a full plumber or someone who likes plumbing. So it's just like when I wanted coffee, I brought this cup. But this cup in itself is calling for coffee. So you have here some sort of a two-way dynamic, that the coffee is bringing this kind of cup, but then this kind of cup is inviting the coffee. And it's the same thing with activities where the plumber did the plumbing, but then the plumbing is going to ask for not an electrician, it's going to ask for a plumber. It's the same thing with carpentry. Woodwork was made by someone who does woodwork. However, the woodwork would call for someone else who is the same thing, who is the same kind. Maybe the plumber we're going to call to fix the plumbing is not the same person, but still is the plumber, still is the carpenter, and so on. And this is interesting because when we're going to read nature, we're going to read the Medunetter, we need to understand what we're dealing with. We're dealing with something that was written like a leg. A leg is the fingerprint of something. Okay, and it's not only the fingerprint of something, it's also the call for something. And let's take it a little bit step by step, just like we looked at all of the concepts step by step until we discussed this, not only the footprint, but the calling for something. The footprints are calling for something. If I'm seeing footprints here, I know that another human had a leisurely walk here, so maybe I'm going to be walking. If I am not very sure about which part of the snow or the ice can carry my weight, the part where I'm going to see footprints is going to be calling me, because it says that someone passed safely. So it's going to call me again. Okay, so there is this aspect of, the idea of a magnet, that you have a neutral piece of iron and then you magnetize it. And because you magnetized it, it became a magnet. It's going to be inviting pieces of iron. Okay, so let's look at this. I want you to know that with hieroglyphics, you can write from right to left and from left to right. And it's the same thing, because from our modern writing systems, if you write a letter this way or you write a letter this way, sometimes they become a different letter, sometimes it's just wrongly written. However, if you're talking about nature, this guy you're seeing is exactly the same guy as this one you're seeing. So it's more of a three-dimensional thing. So from an ancient Egyptian point of view, if you're sitting on my right and you're looking at this, or you're sitting on my left and looking at this, it's the same thing. So actually, these two are not two different letters that we are seeing. These are the same letters. Okay, and I'd like to read it a little bit with you, just like we did with the previous ones. So for a start, people who are sure of it, please don't share now, but people who do not know for sure, can you guess what sound is this letter? Is there anyone who doesn't know for sure? Okay, you all know for sure? Okay, I did a good job. Uh, so what's this letter? It's yes, it's B. Okay, it's the letter B. Okay, so if we're writing from this side, from right to left, then the leg pointing to the right is the one we're going to write. It looks towards the beginning of the text. Okay, but then why is it the letter B? Yasmin, we didn't work this together. Maybe Karen and Sama, we did work this together. Yes, Karen.
If I know from you, I can say it.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Because of the sound it makes, like as you make a footstep, it just like makes a thumping, which is like.
Exactly. Thank you. So you have the B on if we stomp the floor and the ground, we have the B. Okay. So this is the first level. As we discussed the previous pictures, we have different levels. One of the levels is someone who's walking, or one of the level, this is a footprint. And another level, this is someone who was walking. Another level, this is a direction, an invitation to walk in a certain direction. So these are different levels. So I'd like to look with you at this leg from the different the different levels. Okay. Okay. Okay, can you see the screen now? Okay, so this is the direction as if it was written from left to right. This is our dear leg, which is B. Okay, what does this letter mean in ancient Egyptian? And Egyptology and the language are very advanced now as compared to what they were like 100 years ago, because it's already more than 200 years old. However, some of the things we can still ask ourselves, is it accurate or not? But let's start by what the hieroglyphic dictionaries are saying. You have this letter, which is a word in the same time. It's like it's like the when you say a book. This letter is a word, but it's a letter. Okay. So does this letter have any meaning on its own? If you look into an ancient Egyptian dictionary, you're going to see that, yes, it does mean something. It could mean iron. It could mean metal. And here, it's going to be most probably pronounced bia. Okay, or bia. So this is one of the meanings, metal or iron. Okay. It could also mean no or not. And here we're going to say boo. let's not care a lot now about how it's going to sound, but the meaning. Because this is the part that is a little bit beyond. So we say metal, and we say no. And these two meanings could be related, and they might not be related. So this is when we're trying to read nature and we're trying to read something that is a coded message, we start going a little bit like when we were watching the last very sophisticated picture. We're not really sure how many people were here. Was it one thing? Was it a winged horse? Was it like a small animal and an eagle? Was it what? Or was it a play? Was it fighting? Was it play fighting? God knows. So it becomes sophisticated because we are not very sure. The elements are not as simple as the footprint, and they are on top of each other, so there is some interaction between them. Okay, so this becomes a little bit more difficult and sophisticated. So here, maybe they're the same thing, maybe they're not. We know that they are linked. How do we know that they are linked? We know that they might be linked because we have the same symbol for both. But maybe it's like it's twins who look like each other, but they're not the same person. We're not very sure. So we have the metal, the iron, and we have the no. It could also mean place. It could also mean place. And because we have these different meanings of the same word, which is a very simple word because it's only a one symbol word, we might start wondering a little bit. So it could mean metal, iron, no, not, place, just the word place. And do you think that there is anything similar between these three ideas? Yes, Karen.
They're very different in specificities, but they all have the sturdiness, because the metal is like non-categorical. You cannot. It's strong, and no is basically like a set contained no, and a place. Well, it's a sturdy. They all have that element of stance.
Okay, thank you.
Stance, as in like symbolic meaning of stance, like a metal in its element, in its properties. And
yes, thank you. Thank you. Yasmin, please.
For me, what is common is the leg itself, not the picture of the leg, but the leg. The leg itself has also multi-function.
Yes.
So if I stand with my leg, I will stand in a place. I will mark this place. This is where I'm standing. But if I don't like it, I will say no. So I will use the leg just to leave. So here, the same leg who mark it here, it will mark that I'm leaving or I'm not okay or something like this. The metal is the most difficult level for me.
Okay.
I cannot see this relation with the leg. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And the place, the leaving part,
place,
or
yeah, the place. It's.
okay.
I'm here. I'm standing, and the no is moving.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
So you have a leg in the moving and you have a leg in the standing.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is why the metal is a little bit further away. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so you see, when we're looking at something like this, one of us is going to see the, a fine thread linking all or most of the meanings. Someone else is going to see another thread that is also linking things, maybe linking less number of things. And here we go back again to the question of, well, it's open to interpretation. It's open, we can say anything. Yes, you can say anything. I can say, well, the elephant is what's linking all of them, but there's no elephant except in my mind. So you can say something, but you have this kind of just like the exercise we were doing with the pictures, there is a method to the madness. There is a method. And each one of us is touching on one part of it. Okay. So do we have a filter? Can we actually test what we're saying? We actually have a filter because we have the leg. Sameh, please.
I think yes, because there is the method of the writing. We can't say that this is no or not or iron or metal or whatever. So I think we can go to the writings and check our
Yes.
our languages and words.
Thank you. Okay, so you're talking about whether this leg might actually mean metal or might mean no or might mean place. So we go back to the original texts and test it. So yes, and this is a part that the Egyptologists did do. And this is why they have put the dictionary like this. So yes, this is very important to do, but we're going to accept that they did their job to a good enough, maybe not the most accurate, because even when we're speaking living languages, we still like have questions and we check dictionaries and all of this. So, but it still is functional. So we're going to accept that the dictionary is mostly functional, like 90%, 85% of it is functional. So we're accepting this part. However, this does not say that the leg means sturdiness, like Karen said. And it does not say that the leg means moving, like Yasmin said. They have presented to themselves first and to us very good thinking. The thinking is robust, the thinking makes sense, but we still do not have a way of testing. And now we go to the idea that if this is only an exercise in creative thinking, then we would be already happy now. However, this is an exercise in looking into things and into metaphysics, and it makes things a little bit more complex. So we can test by checking, do words that have this element in it still have the sturdiness, still have the movement, or not? And I could take a word that has 5 or 6 letters, and then we would have 5 or 6 ingredients into this new plate that we're cooking. And we will really not know whether this specific taste is coming from the herbs that we added, or from the sugar, or from the God knows what we added into the recipe. So my suggestion is, from my teachers, they suggested that after I do my exercise about the one ingredient, you take it and you taste it, and you say it's sweet or sour or bitter or whatever. Now you put it with another ingredient If it still is, this new recipe still has a bit of sourness, then yes, you tasted correctly. So we have a group of words that have two symbols. One of them is the lab. Okay, so one of them is the word kab or gab, which means soil. Another one is ab, which means to reassemble or unite. We have dab, which means to pile up grain. We have bad, which means matron or to clean and purify. We have a bigger word, even though it's only two letters or symbols, bunefer, which means good. We have ba, which means a panther. We have bu, which means a place or a thing. Could also mean no or not, which is very similar to the leg on its own. We have banar, which is date. Beju, which is some sort of animal. Bak, which is olive oil. Ben, which is without or not or nor, or there's nothing, and or something else that we don't know. There is beshi, which is to vomit or spit out or betray. We have heaven. We have to flee, to be destined. Ba. We have bes, which is secret or mystery. We have ben, which is not. We have bes, which means if only, or a name of an amulet. We have beja, which is a kind of a duck. We have bua, to mean to be esteemed and be highly presentable. We have betch, which is to run, abandon, forsake. Bu, which is a place. Bu, which is no or not. Fi wab, which is a tribe, a specific tribe. Nasab, which is to lap up. Ib, which is heart, mind, understanding, intelligence, will, desire, mood, wish. Geb again, which is soil. Geb again, which is soil, and used soil and ground. Geb again. Hab, which is neck. Ib, different writing, which means heart or to be thirsty or thirst after something. Wajab, which is turning to. Qab or geb or ab, which is soil or used soil. Neb, which is master or lord. Shab, which is a gaming piece. Hab or hab, which is to send or dispatch or write. Tread, enter some place, pervade, or the ibis. Abi, which is to be amused, desire or wish for. Abu, which is branding iron. Yabi, which is left or left-hand side. Seb, which is prepare. Jeba, which is a decoration, specifically a beaded pendant. Would also mean payments, compensation, bribes. Ab, which means to stop, to cease, to linger, to pause. Weba, to drill, to open, a servant, a cupbearer. Neb, which is again a lord, master, owner. Geb, which is a goose. Neb, which means every or all or any. hasab, which means to calculate or to reckon. In Arabic, you still have these two meanings of the same word, by the way. So we have these different meanings. These are all of the words that I have in my dictionary that has two symbols. One of them is B. And I'd like to ask Karen, did you see this idea of sturdiness? We just went very quickly. I'm going to leave you to think about these things a little bit. But in the first look, were you able to see the sturdiness in it? In some of them?
In some, but not maybe across, because there was an interesting mix of predominantly of places or states, a state of something. Could be,
Yes.
but the olive oil was extremely intriguing of all of them.
Why?
Extreme. It had very different properties from all of them, and it just stands alone in properties and in categories, and in, you know, you can see a little bit of, they're all different and they don't all have the sturdiness. Some of them do strongly, or a place. It was really coming back a lot. It would be actually interesting to see the other symbols alone as well.
Yes,
probably.
of course, but we have to start from somewhere.
Of course, it's for sure, no, because this can go on and on and on. But the states were also, but the olive oil, like, the states were across them a lot, besides the places. But the olive oil intrigued me. It really
Thank you.
did.
Thank you. And Yasmin, did you find the leg, the moving part, the going or the coming in some of them or most of them?
I find that both moving sometimes and steady and in the others. But I love gap, the idea that it's the earth itself, and you touch the earth, the soil with your leg. It's just logic.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. So you see with this method, we have this a little bit. We have this work on you have this ingredient and we're not really sure what it does. And then we start having a theory. And it might link with the meanings of it on its own. And then you're testing with a bigger part. And sometimes you're going to see that the original symbol is actually having two main functions. Maybe it's sturdiness and it's moving. Maybe it's sturdiness and it's ground. And maybe you're going to say, well, the ground is sturdy, so it's basically sturdiness. Or maybe you're going to say, maybe it is the ground and everything that looks like the ground. So you can look at it from different aspects, and the ground you can move on and you can hold your place. So it does have these two aspects to different degrees. There are issues when we're working with the ancient Egyptian language and with all languages, but with the ancient Egyptian language, we're having something that is a bit of it's a little bit tricky. It's as if we had, like the English language, if we had the same dictionaries having Shakespearean English with astronomy terms, with newspaper terms, with hip hop music lyrics, and we have all of this in one book. And we're saying that this is the dictionary of English language. We have actually the same thing in ancient Egyptian because with dictionaries, we have a dictionary of Egyptian language. We do not have a dictionary of the first 1,000 years. We do not have a dictionary of the old kingdom Egyptian. We do have dictionaries about Middle Kingdom Egyptian, because this is where the most elaborate writings were done. Little interference from other foreign nations. So it looks very elaborate and very strong. So we do have some of these, but we do not have something that is of old kingdom only. For our reasons, we might need dictionaries of old Egyptian on its own, like the old Egyptian in the ancient Egyptian, because then we would have how it all started, the first things that were written. Before someone started writing and say, okay, I'm going to add this letter somewhere because it just sounds okay. We would still have the more symbolic parts. So let's know that some of the words that I shared with you now are modern. Modern meaning like 500 BC, okay, or even 1000 BC. Very updated. So you have these modern. They are New Kingdom Egyptian. New Kingdom Egyptian. Some of them are even after this. Like some of the words that we're going to be using are actually from Egyptian that is from the Roman period, from Greek period. They are ancient Egyptian and written in ancient Egyptian. In some of the words, we're going to see something that is a foreign word, but it's written in our letters. So when you see that many of them have the idea that you have, but not all of them, don't lose faith. It could be impurities. Okay? Yes, Yasmin.
I was just reading yesterday something about a text from the time of Taharqa, and they were using very ancient words that was not used before him. So they just go in the past and choose words very ancient and bring it to life again. And it's always like a movement of when you want to prove yourself or you want to prove that you are from here or you need to prove something, so you search in the ancient thing. And actually that's why when we see some words are like dead and just survive again and become they can come again, or new words at all, when we use new words, it's meaning they are very in a good place. We are free to invent, to go further, to evaluate, and we don't have to prove it to someone or to ourselves. And I think maybe I don't know, but it's one of the reasons why we have sometimes things that are very far from the idea, and then it brings again to the beginning of the idea. Maybe it's one of the explanation. I don't know.
Yes, yes. And especially with Tarka, he had the issue that he was looked upon as a foreigner, but in the same time, he was saying, actually, I am the original Egyptian, and you guys are not, because all of the rulers who were not holding on to the ancient things. So it's very interesting what you're sharing, because it means that he went beyond just saying that I am the original. He actually started working with language and maybe religious ideas or different things. So thank you for sharing this. Okay, Taharqa was a king eventually, ancient Egyptian, who was coming from what is now today's Sudan. And at that time, the Egyptian rulers in Egypt were not holding on to the unification of the country, the well-being of the people. They became like feudal rulers, each of them interested in one part, and fighting between each other rather than building something like civilization, because ancient Egyptians looked at Egypt as being the civilization, the civilized world. So even though there were many, he came with his army and he actually invaded the whole country and unified the whole country and basically insulted them militarily and verbally at everything. And amazingly, he did not stay. And correct me, Yasmin, please, that he actually, after a while, he just went back. He proved the point, and that's it. But please, maybe you can tell us more or more accurate things, Yasmin.
Yes, you are right. It's like this, but it is not like he just go home. He went home with something, with knowledge, with science, with ideas, and he does not want to stay here. He just want to bring the civilization home for him.
Yes, okay.
So yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let me share with you what I was seeing a little bit in this symbol as well. And yes, Karen, please.
I just want to ask you, it does not exist older dictionaries, does it? At all? Or
What do you mean? Older
like the
dictionaries?
older, like going back further, for example, from more origin of that does not exist, or not necessarily dictionaries, but records of more basic from whatever is available currently, like very freely.
I'm not there. I know there are dictionaries that are not really available for the public, not
Okay.
because they are kept secret, supposedly, but because they are huge. And so even universities don't buy them. Like you don't want a 20-volume ancient Egyptian dictionary in your library, even if for an Egyptology department. I know that one of the most complete dictionaries is the German, the Berlin dictionary, I think, and it's not available everywhere, and even if it's available, it's going to be difficult to look into it. And like I'm using an app to be able to gather all of the words that have the letter B in it, because as you're seeing, I'm not looking like this is cab, so it doesn't start with it. So even when you look into the dictionary for the words, the two-letter words or the two symbol words that are starting with B, this one is not going to come up. You see, so there is this difficulty. If you find it, you need to transform it, like either spend your whole life looking into it or transform it into a digital format that is more searchable. So even when they exist, for me they do not exist yet. I do not have access to them as much. I think, Yasmin, maybe you have more information about this, if you want to share anything.
I know that no one using them even for researcher or scholars, so but we have a problem now that we have very few people who can really read hieroglyphic and demotic and it's three language like this without dictionary, like reading very easily. So it's very few in the world. Okay.
Yes.
So everyone is using the dictionary, and most of them they are using which kind of dictionary? Like if you are working on sacred text, so you will choose this dictionary, or if you are working like in trade or political or whatever, or medical, there is a medical dictionary because we have a lot, or science. So yeah, no one can really have all of this in his mind or in his library.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, when you're looking differently, you're looking for how it's coded and what meanings are beyond this, then this is a totally different thing because it's not a practical kind of reading and language. So, and even some of the dictionaries, like in Egypt, we had someone called Ahmed Kamal Basha. He worked on a dictionary, um, and it's in a manuscript. It's in his handwriting, and the manuscript actually contains like him writing things and then like taking it off and then writing something else. And you have it in the manuscript like this. And thankfully, this is a 20 volume dictionary. Um, it's 25 or something, and some of the volumes are lost. Some of them you have the volume, but like you don't have the first 20 pages. The first 20 pages that include the introduction to the volume that includes keys. Okay, you don't have them. And this is remaining as a manuscript. Like the Egyptian government, very thankfully, printed it out as a manuscript. And I remained like for years, literally years, looking for it until I could find it and get it. And yet you have to read it. You have to read it like page by page, and it's in his handwriting. It includes French and English and Arabic and Hebrew, and so and Arabic that is not available in dictionaries. It's like in older Arabic dictionaries that he found links with. So what we're working on in this course is a work in progress because I didn't want to wait like Ahmed Kabel Basha and like die without sharing what I have. So we're working on things, and each of us might add part of this. I'm sharing these ideas that maybe we can filter by old kingdom, even though I don't have a way to do it. Okay, but maybe you would have a way to do it right now, or maybe in a few years, and then you would maybe remember, okay, if I have these conflicting meanings, if I want to find the original thing, then I can filter by this thing. Or and in our dictionaries, we don't have, it's not written that this word was in such and such papyrus. And then you can do the homework and find whether this papyrus is old or new, because they have they have they worked on the dictionary based on the assumption that it is one language and it didn't change. And Egyptians faked it to be this way. And to a large extent, Egypt till today is quite a conservative country culturally. But we do add things, even though we don't want to change other things. You will find very new American words in the Arabic thing, in Arabic texts today. However, other texts, they will not want to change. Yasmin, please.
I just want to say it's doable. It just need a team of archaeological people, archaeologists, and philological. Because if you have all the papyrus and all the materials, straka, all of what you know that it's sure from the Old Kingdom, and then you can make lists of words, and then from here start the dictionary. It needs time, a team, and people who wants to do it.
Yes, definitely. And who knows, maybe we can get hyped up and really interested, and we can maybe write a proposal by the end of this course and send it somewhere, and we can find a donor. Who knows? Maybe we can. If
Yeah.
not by the end of level 1, maybe by the end of level 2. Okay, so let me share with you. Welcome back, themes. Let me share with you something about this first word, the letter B, that is the leg, that can mean a metal, metals in general, or iron specifically, no and not, and place. And as Karin was saying, maybe it shows sturdiness, and Yasmin was saying maybe it shows a leg, maybe it shows like stopping and moving. Amazingly, even though this is Egyptian, I'm going to share with you English expressions. Can you hold your place? And this is something about your leg. It's something about place. It's something about being sturdy, being able to challenge or be challenged and not lose faith and not lose ground. Okay, not lose ground means losing ground would mean to move back with your legs. So as Yasmin was saying, the relationship between ground or soil and legs is very strong. You can say something like, put your foot in the door. Maybe it doesn't, they don't say put your leg in the door, but it's very similar. Putting your foot in the door, you do not take no. So you say no to someone rejecting you, and you're stopping something. You're holding your ground. Okay? With an iron will. The idea of iron will. Even though chemically maybe the iron is going to rust or whatever, but you say iron will. No. Holding your place. So it's really interesting that the idea is universal. The idea that these concepts are related is universal. It's not Egyptian. Again, in hieroglyphics, we're looking for something that is natural. That is natural because they say it's the words of the Neteru. Okay, so I'm sharing this part a little bit. There is another thing that I would like to share, which is as you're seeing these two different legs. And do they look familiar to anything in modern writing? Yes. Karen, you want to share or say something?
Yeah, no, it would be from what we learned about the English thing. Yeah, so it's like a B, really, like literally like a line with the B part on the bottom.
Okay. This might be an anecdote. This might be just a coincidence if it happens in one letter. Okay? It doesn't happen only in one letter. We're going to see. The more interesting thing is that we have okay. we have this. We can look at the second line. Okay, this is what linguists agree. Not all linguists. All linguists don't agree on anything. However, a lot of them agree that this is the origin of the letter B. They tell you that the origin of the current alphabet is the Phoenician or the Proto-Sinaitic writing. And yes, okay, it's about hieroglyphic. However, the letter B, which is the second line here, as you see in the beginning, the first the second column, which is the hieroglyphic column, they're not sharing the shape of the letter B. They're sharing the shape of the letter per, which is very weird. It's very weird because it looks exactly, the B looks very much like the current B. Okay, so here we're looking at something else. We're looking that the leg still exists in the letter B, even though the letter B, we do not deal with it as something that carries a meaning inside of it. However, it does. Here they put the letter B in this line as being P, which I'm not really sure why. And they're using it in a direction that makes it difficult for you to realize that it's the same letter. Okay, so you need to look at hieroglyphics as a very natural thing, very natural thing. And it happens again with other letters. We're going to look at them. Very natural thing means you can look at it this way, you can look at it this way. It's something that leaves a mark and it has an origin, and you can see the origin by just looking at the mark, because seeing your leg stomping, seeing your leg holding ground, it means there is a will inside you. It doesn't mean that there's a human, there's a will. And the will looks like a leg. The iron looks like a leg. Okay, so these are some of the aspects. I want to, are there any questions or comments or, okay, so I want to add a little bit. Yasmin is saying that Dr. Abdel Halim Nuruddin uses it for the bead. So he's sharing the leg. Okay. Dr. Abdel Halim Nuruddin is very faithful to ancient Egypt, I would say. Different from looking at what Oxford people are sharing and then learning from them only. Yes, of course, he learns from everybody, but he has his own Egyptian filter in it. Thank you for sharing this. Okay. So let's look quickly to the following part. Okay, again, sharing. Okay, so you have here the following letters. This following letter, those who are more familiar with the writing, is the letter A. Okay, the letter A, the letter A. And we can look at it again. Going to organize them a little bit better next time. I was just trying to look at it together. Mhm. Share. Okay, I hope you can see it now. So you have the letter A, which you say A. It can also mean but or now. And Egyptians still use the A for the word but, even though we don't realize it. Because I might tell you, okay, I will be seeing you on Tuesday. Ah, I just remembered I have something on Tuesday. So, but, okay? And it also means a vulture or a bird, okay? So these are the two meanings that we have about this word, the one symbol word. If we go, like, what do you think these two meanings have in common? And what does it have in common with the shape? Yes, Karen, please.
The meaning can be very transitory in both cases. The but, it's you're changing position, and the now is fleeting. So, and
Yes.
the symbol of the bird symbolizes that as well. In terms of the shape, as in the letter, that's another story. Also, I don't know if that's what you were asking, but in terms of the symbolic meaning as well, it's shifting or non-capturable in that way, that it's transitory.
Yes.
So
Thank you. Anyone else would like to? Yasmin, I'm not sure you're raising your hand or not.
When I think about it, it's a vulture. When the sound, when he said "ah," it's something very important and imposing, and it's now, and you have to wake up or to take care, or so the sound itself and the nature of the sound is take care now. This is what I'm saying.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Yes, Venus, please.
So I have a question, and based on the
Please.
I can make a comment. So the order of the alphabet, does it begin with the A sound?
We're not sure. I think so. Yes, I think so. We're not sure.
Because it would
didn't.
make sense, because that's beginning, that first moment, the beginning of something, the genesis, you know, it's a captivating moment. It shifts, it like Karine said, it's transitory. It transports you from a state into an aliveness
Thank you.
that can look like that.
Yes, Yasmin, please.
Actually, when Venus said that, I was thinking like writing is the second step. The first step is talking, is the language itself. If I'm in the nature, the first sound that I will hear, and I have to hear it, because if not, I will be dead, is this sound. Ha. And if not, he will just come to take me or take my child or whatever. And if I want to warn this person, family person, and I'm starting talking, I'm starting the language, I would just imitate the sound in the nature.
Of
So I
danger.
know exactly. So thank you, Venus. It's your comment that I was start thinking about.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So if I want to warn you from danger, I'm going to give you a dangerous sound. So maybe I'm going to tell you, even if you're holding fire or something and there's no eagle coming in, I'm going to say, ah, so to warn you. Thank you. I used to say reading came before writing because we started reading nature and then we started writing. So you're adding we started speaking before writing. Definitely, we started speaking before writing. And of course, we have these questions about the alphabet today. Did we have like A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Back in the days, or did it start by words and then it devolved into letters? Like in English, you have the letters and then you build the words. But then maybe back then it was you had these words because they came from their natural sounds, and then you started making them into letters. So it's interesting how you're describing that it might mean a fleeting moment, something that is flying, something that is an interjection. And from the other point of view, no, it's something actually that is fleeting or not. It is imposing. It's like an eagle coming in and coming from the sky and controlling us. The now moment that is happening, the but thing that happened on us now and stopped something. So it's something imposing. So we have these two big ideas. Karen, please, yes.
Yes, the transitory nature is the connection between the but and the now. That's the common element. But they are, in terms of the direct interpretation, they would be different because one is very transitory and one is telling you to focus on the now because now is the moment and it will not be after. So transitory in this way, but calling you to focus on the now, whereas the but would be different. But if you want to, what I meant had, if you want to put them together, if you want to find a common aspect to them, they both have that shift, sort of. So, but one calls you for focus on a specific moment, and one is bringing you to another moment in between the two words. So, just to specify the now,
Yes. Thank you very much. It's difficult when we're working on these things because they're all how we're looking at things, and maybe we're going to hold it from one side, it's going to like run away into the other side. And again, we have our filter of having the two symbol words. So I'm going to share with among us now the two symbol words that I found in my dictionary. Okay. So we have, again, here we have this issue about Egyptology not being ripe, not being well done as in cooking yet. Okay, so you have this written ra. This is a r and an a. Okay, and you're reading this from left to right because it's an English dictionary, even though Egyptians used to write more from right to left. However, this is correct as well. So it's written ra, but the transliteration from the point of view of the author was that it was iriu or yiriu. Okay, and the does not exist in the writing. Okay, however, from from studying the different other languages around, they decided that it's iriu. I don't trust this aspect strongly because we have peasants in Egypt who still use the same words. And we have Egyptians who still use the old words. And often the word that the peasants are using are exactly the spelling in the hieroglyphic and not what the European was able to decipher from it. So this happened in lots of words. And maybe after discovering more about the inner meanings of the letters and how they build up more sophisticated meanings in words, maybe we can discover this together, explore it a little bit together towards that. Okay, so again, I invite you to think about the different aspects of our initial thinking about the symbol. When we say that here it's denizens, Ra or Iriu, Ka or Kai, meaning to think about. Again, I'm inviting you to explore how your understanding of the letter means in the bigger thing, and leaving the second symbol. We're going to look at it later. Okay. Aha, supposedly a demon. Shem, she's to go. And this is interesting because it is written with an A. However, the Egyptologists who worked on it decided that no, it doesn't have a letter A in it. Okay, and it's just Shem. But I'm sharing it anyway, meaning to go. Shasa, meaning to be speaking with, to be conversant with. Rai, to thwart someone, to defy, to oppose. And here it rings a bell with what Yasmin was saying, to oppose. Sema, a priest, to unite, to join. Just A, but it's written with a second symbol, and here it means to walk on, to tread. Another symbol, but it's very similar, but it's another symbol. It is again to tread. Here you're going to see things that I think are irrelevant, but I included them because I want us to have the tools and I want to share where I reached so that you can continue on your own later. So here, for example, they say it's a Libyan god and his name was Ash or Ash. I don't think this is relevant to what we're working on because this might be just a transliteration of the name. So Ahmed, for example, they're going to write A-H-M-A-D. So it doesn't have a symbolic meaning in it. Okay, but however, I included it just in case you might find something that I did not find. Pet, which is a thing. Which is a bird or a vulture. We did share this meaning before. However, here it's written with two symbols. This second symbol, which is this little column, means when you see it, it means that the symbol is meant for itself. So if you find it after a bird, it means we do mean the bird. We do not mean any metaphysical thing. Okay. Here we have Ach, which means successful, light, right, glorious, excellent, splendid. Ach. Pa, this, the continuation of Pa. Okay. Pa, a different looking duck. This, but it can also mean sun. It might also mean O, or to have done something in the past. Okay. Pa. Wa, which means how, but it's not how a question. It's how, which means surprise. And in Upper Egypt, they still say wa, the exact thing. Asha, which means many or numerous or much, plentiful. Again, Egyptians still use it even in Cairo. When they have plenty of something, they say itashit, which means we had a lot of it. Okay? Asha. Fai means to raise, to lift up, to carry, support. Even though the writing is only fa, but the transliteration is fai. Chai, and it's unknown. And knowing Lebanese, it might mean something nice. Chai. Ha, someone who is behind, who is around. Or ha, to mourn, or to step back, to retreat. Ha. It can also mean shine or enlighten. Ha, a different plant, who is behind, around. Ya, which still exists in Egypt and in the Arab world. It's something that you say to call on someone. Ya fulan. Ya can also mean when, can also mean whereas, are, can also mean adoration and praise, which still is used in Egypt. We think that it's calling. It might be calling, but here it says specifically adoration and praise. And we still say, Ya Rab, Ya Allah, which means calling on God, or maybe in this context, adoration or praising God. Another word, which is dua, which is praising or worship. Okay? Sounds like a little bit like the Arabic word dua, which is praying. But this doesn't have dua, or at least we do not see dua. It's dua. Na. The writing here is now with the N first. Na. This, here, that. There is again Ash, our Libyan friend. There is an issue here, as you might have noticed, that the sh comes, yes, the sh comes before. However, because they brought the name from Libya, they know that it comes the a first. But actually, it's written sha. It might have been a mistake in the original writing, the Egyptian writing the name or hearing the name. And it might be that it's a different thing from Ash, but it was mixed up when translating, like the modern translator did not look at it. Okay. This is Ha, which means wake up or notice. And until, I don't know, 50, 70 years ago, we still had this in Egyptian streets when a policeman would go around and say, ha, so wake up and I'm here and notice, and maybe I'm going to make you fearful or something. Ha. It could also mean time, lifetime, neighborhood, environment, area, vicinity. How? Sia means knowledge, insight, reason. Mao, aspect, appearance. Jai, a kind of priest. Wow means far, far from. And here, the additional information tells you that it's late Egyptian. So if this doesn't work out in your theory, it's easier to let go. Sa, to welcome. Sai, or sa, to wait. Beware of something bad that might happen, which is a little bit close to the word but. And now, it's bewaring of something that is happening. guarding, warding off, restraining. Ha, again, would that. Oh, nude, naked, to be undressed. The top one is an interesting one. Sorry, this one is ha, not ha. Okay. And we still use this one, the same ha, to encourage donkeys to walk. Ha, ha, ha. Ka, so, then. But remember, next. Pushing out, to plot, to plan, to reflect, to think about. Ga, to launch a boat. Capsizing. Ga, singing, whistling. Gao, to be narrow, to be constricted. Ta, this or these. Okay. So, did you look into these words for the meanings that you were thinking of? Did you find them a little bit? Did you not find them at all? Did you find them in a little bit, but not all of them? Please share. Yes, please, Karen.
Most of them, there's a few that maybe not, but many of them specifically, even to welcome, to wait, to think, they're all, some of them are, to welcome is in the moment when you're doing it. For example, to praise, it's a momentary thing. Even glory, it's a momentary thing. It might not be there tomorrow. So they're all really dealing with a bit of a time element as well, and focus, again, to me.
Yes.
It's calling you to focus, but indirectly, because by nature they can be momentary. But also for the king, he could be ruling at the moment, the Libyan king, for example. It could be, we don't know, but it could symbolize, because when a ruler is, he's at a specific time, and to think, it's shifting. Usually when you're thinking, your thoughts can be shifting, and at the same time they're absorbing your thoughts right now. So they have both elements. The demon one, I'm not sure. That's an interesting, again, like the olive oil. It's interesting, and it maybe ties to a few of them, maybe 2, 3 to me, tied to the more the alert part of them. So, but the demon one was also different. But so for me, my own interpretation, I found them a lot in both aspects of them. Some had both, and some had one or the other one more.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Yasmin, did you find your...
Yeah, I find it completely, actually. You can just live with this word as a language for 3 years without any problem. If you are like, I will not say primitive, I will say primordial, beginning of saying something. I can call, I can warn, I can alert, I can say this or this. Actually, we can communicate with all this world to be safe. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's interesting the meanings that you're bringing in, because they are, it's not either or again. It's a little bit, you have a part of this, you have a part of that. And this idea of imposing that Yasmin was saying, and by its nature, it's a little bit in the moment. So it's about this something happening. It's about something happening, and it's happening now, and it demands our attention. Before I spoke with you, I was seeing it more of an elevation. And it's an elevation, and I thought that yes, you do fly, but it's only for a specific, like it exerts energy, so it's not a permanent thing. And when Yasmin said like imposing, I was thinking again, it's something coming from up, but and then the words were a little bit raising things. Actually, one of them is to raise, but again, there is this raising of attention. Whether the stress is on raising, or the stress is on attention, or the stress is on that this is just for now, maybe we can see it when we go to 3 symbol words. And then we're going to see, okay, the stress is more on attention, because some of the words have higher attention, some have lower attention. Or maybe it's about raising, because some of them it's about raising attention, but some of them is about raising a position. Or maybe it's about that this is not going to be continued, because it's about attention in the moment, but then going. But then in another word, it's not about attention or the kingdom or the demon. It's more about things that come and go. So at least now we worked on understanding that we are having this person who was walking and left marks on the sand. We have the idea of the passing moment. We have the idea of attention and imposing events. We have the idea of an elevation. And this is leaving a mark. It's leaving a sound, which is a. It's leaving a symbol. And we can use this a little bit. We can look at it and play with it. The interesting thing is, as we saw with the cups, this invites things. So if you want your attention and your strong event, maybe you want an ah in it. Maybe you can print this and meditate on it. Maybe you can write it in, if I think like this, I want to have an event or maybe the name of a course, and I want it to have very high attention. Maybe I can put this in the name and it would invite, just like our empty cup invited coffee because it was made for coffee and it invites coffee. So maybe it's going to invite attention. And this makes this bridge between the unseen and the seen, that we're putting this special kind of container, and it would bring in this kind. So, so this is the beginning of what we're working with. At the end, I would like to, if you have a few minutes more, I'd like you to give me your impressions on our first session. And we had started in a different order, as you knew, because Venus was having something to go, another commitment. So maybe tell me a little bit more of what you joined for. Are you finding it in the beginning, the first session, you wish for something different that we can incorporate in the following sessions? General input from you, if you can. Of course, we can have the input one-on-one later or in next sessions, but since we're starting, it would be a good opportunity to hear this from you, if you have something to share. Please, Karen.
Well, I want to say that it's amazing as always. Your courses are always amazing. It's specifically this course that draws me because I, in general, love symbolism. I think there's something very innate about it, and there's I think many levels in it, and it has and it brings out different perspectives and awareness. Specifically in hieroglyphics, it fascinates me. Lots about ancient Egypt and beyond the hieroglyphics, the spiritual aspect of it, and I think it was very in touch with nature. So it's still relevant today. It's really nothing is ancient about it. It's very much in the present. And specifically this course also, again, because you have a way of looking at it without constraints and taking what there is and letting it breathe and doing the research. And it's a very active way of being present with the learning and with the interpretation. And so I really enjoy that unconstrained look at it and the wealth of information that can come out of it. So specifically for these courses with you. So
Thank you.
It's definitely answering a lot of the things, and I'm looking forward to, of course, it will carry us further. So I'll let that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yasmin, do you have?
Yeah, I like it. I love it because I'm running all my life, and I was lucky enough to have someone like Dr. Noureddin as my professor. So I learned hieroglyphic with him, but I know that he knows all of this, maybe more, but we didn't have time. We were a lot of students in he has 300 students, and Vulture is A, so okay, we have to learn it. We have an exam, and we have to finish it, and then we have to do something else, work. And for 2 hours, actually, I just finished work and come home maybe 3 minutes before we start. I just want to have water instead of eating something. And it's very good to just slow down and think, reflect. And I believe it's something Plato. So I love Plato. Okay, it's all the knowledge is we have it already. We just have to remember. And to remember, we need time to remember something to remember with. So I love it because now I remember not only my classes, but I remember that I know this. I know the sound of this bird, and I know the sound of water. I know what is the leg for, but I just didn't have time to think about it.
Yes.
So yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Venus, do you have something to share about your insights and what you're
Yes.
looking for?
What I'm looking for, so I came looking for my ancestors. I came looking for connecting with the language, with the codes, to try and understand them on a very much deeper, on a metaphysical level. And like Karine said, you know, I'm in love with symbolism. I'm in love with codes, and I know that just looking at them, even without understanding what they mean and how to pronounce them, I know that they activate something in the subconscious mind, and therefore activate something, communicate something with the conscious mind. And I love the way you brought us into this, because it was truly, for me, it's like a touch of genius. Lahoa, you first of all took us through nature and made that connection between them, the Neteru, and nature, and the sounds. So now I know for a fact there's no way I'm going to walk in any space of nature without paying attention to what I'm looking at, what it sounds like, what, you know, the animals, even solids, everything. I've always believed that nature is constantly, or reality is constantly communicating with us. But I had no idea that our ancestors created an entire language based on this. So thank you so much for today. It was like, and I'm really sad and angry that I had to miss a whole hour, but I can't wait to see the recording, inshallah.
Yes,
It's,
inshallah. And I'm very glad that thank you very much for doing all of this schedule acrobatics of coming and going and coming again. So thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
accommodating me. Oh, Allah, thank you for accommodating me. It's but hope so. Is it every Monday the same time?
Every Monday the same time. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to inconvenience some of my clients and say to them, okay, Monday evenings is my nights, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you. And do you like this format of asking and listening, or I think it's very enriching. So I want to make sure that for you it's the same thing.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let's meet next Monday, same time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.